Good evening, good morning, good day, good whatever, depending on where you're watching us from. I'm just coming along, doing like a midweek catch up. You might hear some sounds in the background. Don't be alarmed because that's my little boy. He's just doing his catching up with school, and yeah, I just been thinking about this week and thinking about life in general, and I thought, well, as usual, I love random stuff. I love random times, and just thinking about opportunities that I can actually get to catch up with you guys. I hope you're well. I hope your families have been well as well. I hope that you are doing great. And I'm just coming again, as I said, to say hello and to see how are you guys and to see how are you keeping up. So this week I've just been actually thinking about in general like life. I've been thinking about how many of the times well, I did a reflection over the weekend, and the reflection was all to do with kind of coming towards the end of the year, and most of us will be thinking like, well, I haven't been able to achieve this, to achieve that, to achieve the other. And I was actually just thinking about today something to do with dealing with setbacks, and I was just thinking about it because obviously there are times when life will throw at us so many different things. There are times when we will be like kind of in a way disappointed by stuff, and we'll undergo setbacks and things like that. But how do you deal with setbacks, or what do you do with setbacks? So I've talked about disappointment. Last weekend I talked about how do you deal with disappointment, and today I'm just going to talk about kind of how to deal with setbacks and what you can do about them. So why have I been thinking about setbacks, and what made me think about setbacks? I was just thinking about the many things. For example, like if you start off on a journey, you want to do some exercise and things like that. It does usually get to a point and you feel like, okay, I am not able to do this or that or the other, or I haven't been able to do this and this on that. And particularly when it comes to things like exercise, nutrition, you can start off like, let's say, like a challenge. We are still on a challenge. Today is day 51 of a hydration challenge, and what you're just doing is encouraging ourselves to drink at least 2 liters of water every single day. And to be honest, sometimes there have been times that I felt a little bit like discouraged. I felt a bit like maybe I should let go, I should not continue, because it feels like quite a long journey. And when I come to those moments, I usually try to think about also, there's been times like today I've really wanted to kind of in a way just get myself into more exercise, going out for a run, and still, of course, maybe going to the gym, and it hasn't really been the way I've wanted it to be. And because obviously, like, I've had to travel a bit to go for placement visits and things like that. And also just because, like, even today, I haven't been that very great. Like, my tummy has just been something else, and I don't know, probably I just had ate something that maybe was not like the best, or I don't know what has been happening. And obviously, because if you're not feeling well, it doesn't necessarily provide an opportunity for you to be able to kind of in a way exercise, work out and things like that. And so there are those things that will always happen. There will be setbacks in life. There will be times that life happens. I usually say, when life happens, what do you do? When you feel like, my sister was telling me the other day, like life throws a lemon at you, what do you do with that lemon? Do you start to complain and say, well, I should have actually gotten an orange, I would have made orange juice? Or do you just decide and say, well, it's a lemon, instead of it being kind of a complaint, you decide to make a lemonade from it? So there will be times that we'll have setbacks. There will be times when we'll set up like to do things, and things will not work the way we want to. I can tell you so many times that I've wanted maybe to have a six pack by now. Well, it's coming hopefully one day, but it hasn't come yet. There've been times when I've set up goals that I want to go and run. Let's say I want to do 10K run every weekend, and for sure this last, I don't even remember the last time I've been for a run, because obviously I've either had visitors, or the weather's just been bad, or one thing after the other, and I haven't been able to go for those runs. There've been times when I've wanted to do like so many different things, but obviously being life happening, it just has happened that most of the times I set up things and still it doesn't really end up happening the way I want to. But that doesn't mean that you can't like have those desires to grow, desires to continue doing the thing that you need to do, the desire to kind of maybe still plan. They say if you don't plan, you're planning to fail. So even if you have setbacks, it doesn't mean that you can't continue doing the things that you've done just because you've had setbacks. Setbacks for me, I feel like they're just kind of, in a way, sometimes you're kind of like kind of life is telling you take a break. Life is telling you like kind of take a step back just to reflect and see what are the things that I would have done differently. What could I have done differently? If, for example, you're not feeling well, as I said, like having a bit of a tummy ache today and it's been like throughout the day, that's something I can't control because that's life. It does happen. But then this might be just be reminding me like, well, Claire, you need to kind of be maybe more careful, or maybe look after the things that maybe take some more rest, or, this kind of things. So sometimes setbacks, when you have setbacks, the thing you need to ask yourself is, why am I having this setback? Is it something that maybe life is just slowing me down because I've just taken up a lot on myself and I'm not able to balance the books, so to say? Or is it that maybe it's a setback because I have been impatient with something, and so I'm feeling like I'm being kind of restricted, and well, in actual sense, you're actually being, it's for your own good that is happening. And so like when you are going through those moments, or expecting, or no, not expecting, or ending up with like things and situations that you never thought they will come your way, I feel like those are times that you can actually choose to say, okay, let me re-strategize, sit down and think about life, sit down and think about, okay, so what is it that I'm learning in this season? How can I get out of this season a much more better, much more stronger person? What am I learning in this season? Like now, maybe tomorrow I would love to go to the gym or to go for a run, but because I don't necessarily feel 100% okay to do that. So what am I going to be doing? What am I learning in this season? Maybe it's going to be just more spending more time in bed and spending a bit more time resting, and maybe spending a bit more time doing other things that don't physically demand me to do, like to be involved and things like that. So it's kind of, in a way, just going back into those seasons and going back into those moments, and a bit of reflection, and asking yourself, what is it that this season is teaching me? What is it that life is bringing my way? What is it that, or sometimes I find asking sometimes, why not, like, why me, feeling like sorry about yourself? So why me that I have to have a better me? Or why me, like, kind of can be asking yourself, why me? Because you're like, well, why not me? Why not me? Because I've enjoyed these and these and these. So maybe just life is teaching me that sometimes you can easily take for granted the things that come your way, that maybe it can be a moment to pause, reflect, and think, hang on a minute, have I been grateful for my health? Have I been grateful for my family? Have I been grateful, etc.? Again, as I said, setbacks are not times to kind of like give up. There will be times for sure that will be bringing you one step back, two steps back. But I love one story that I heard from a guy that he was declared bankrupt. He became a millionaire within his 20s. he became declared bankrupt in his 30s. And then obviously the side math was he went into depression, went into all those kind of things that people will experience naturally as a result of some of these setbacks, financial setbacks. But then he decided one day to pick himself up, and he said, well, life has happened. So if life happens, what do you do with it? If life throws at you a lemon, what do you do with it? So he decided, went back into like studying. He went back into like kind of thinking about the re-strategizing, etc. And as we speak at the moment, he's a multi-millionaire, like in dollars. So he has really like amassed a lot of wealth. Of course, he's a very giving person and things like that. But he was saying he learned through his mistakes, he learned through the times of setbacks, and he's been able to get back into the right spaces and places financially. I've been reading a book by Dave Ramsey. He's an American financial advisor or something like along the lines. He runs the show. It's actually also on YouTube. You can listen to him if it's something that you feel like you might want some financial advice and things like that. And he was actually talking about like as well, he became bankrupt, but he learned the principles of snowballing of debts, like kind of paying off little by little, starting off with the little debts and then paying off the things that needed to be paid off. And as we speak, Dave Ramsey is a very well-known, rich kind of like financial advisor. That's like in financial terms. Coming into things even like health, look at those people that like even sports and things like that, people that have ended up maybe with injuries that could be like a setback, and they've come back from injuries and have gone to the top. People that have tried to fight and they failed to win, and they come back and they won the next time they tried. All those different things that will happen to us is like all those opportunities to kind of just remind yourself setbacks are part of life. But when life throws us those setbacks, or when we're going through those different things, what do? When life again throws to you those things that you don't expect, what do you do at the end of the day? And so like just some kind of practical things to do if you're going through the season of a setback. So maybe your setback is an injury or illness or financial struggle and things like that. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really tell you much about financial advice, but just to kind of remind you, like if you're going through, let's say, a moment in the season of a setback, the first and most important thing to do is just kind of taking some time and reflecting. A lot of times we don't reflect enough to see why am I here? I've said that already. How did I get myself where I am? If it is an injury, it could be maybe because you may be doing it too much, or sometimes just life happens. And then trying to think again, thinking of coming up with some strategies to think, how am I going to come out of from where I am to where I need to be? And that means that you need to have a plan in the first place, a plan of where you're looking forward to. If it is a financial thing, what is the plan you have for your financial well-being? If it is like mental well-being or emotional well-being, maybe you're going through a setback at the moment, something that has made you become maybe depressed or having anxiety issues or stress, etc. You kind of going back to that place and asking yourself, how did we get to where we are? And what does it look like to me to be in a good space? What does it mean to me, or how will it look like for me to be in a great space, like maybe financially, emotionally, all those physically and things like that? And then just taking time to kind of, it sounds a bit weird, but kind of to let the season shape, like don't maybe shape the future, but also just persevere in that season. I know we are living in a world that everybody wants things instant. Perseverance and patience is not a commonly talked about word. It feels like persevering is an old word. We are taught to fight for it, go for it, be strong, be courageous, be determined, do it now, do it, all these kind of things. But maybe just sometimes it could be that life is just teaching you, Claire, be a little bit more patient. be patient in that situation, persevere. Like, sometimes it can be a trial of your faith. And I love one time, I love listening so much to some of these motivational speakers. And I was listening to Les Brown the other day, and Les Brown was saying, a faith that has not been tested cannot be has not been tested cannot be trusted. Sometimes it could be just like a moment of testing or a moment of trial, and those moments that for some of us who are Christians, we know that we are reminded when the testing of our faith produces perseverance. And once perseverance we need to let perseverance have its full work in us. So it could be that those setbacks could be moments of trial of your faith, and when your faith is tested, one thing that I love about some of these metals, for example, gold, is actually refined by fire, right? You don't get like gold is not refined through like the most amazing ways. For you to be able to get that gold, it's gonna go through fire. For you to be able to get, even if it's those precious metals, they actually refined through moments of fire, and that's how you end up with precious metals. But when you have things that are less precious, like take fire and put wood in your fire, your wood is going to burn because it's not that very precious. But through the moments of the furnace, and sometimes I call it a furnace of affliction, that's actually how you end up with precious gold. And so when you are going through those setbacks, there could be, as I said, moments of testing of your faith or trials and temptations. Don't look down and think like it's the end. It's not the end. It is the beginning of great things, great seasons ahead. And so focus on recovery, focus on healing, focus on restoration, focus on things that matter, and just looking at it and looking after yourself, looking after what matters most to you. And hopefully that seasons and those setbacks don't last forever. I love when they say tough times last, tough times don't last, but tough people last, right? When you're tough, or situations may make you tough sometimes, but always remember that they are not meant to be for life. Tough times are not meant to be forever. Tough times will come, tough times will go. But if you are tough in those moments, or allowing those moments to toughen you up, then for sure you'll get to a point that you will weather those storms and you will be able to stand. And just one of the things I was thinking about, there is usually one of these analogy that is given in the Bible of how do you build your foundation. There are those foolish people that build their foundation on the sand, and then when the rains and the storms of life come, obviously we know it's all swept away, washed away. But there's the wise man that builds their foundation on the rock, so that when the storms and the battles of life come, the house stands. So maybe when you're going through those setbacks, is kind of again using those times to kind of dig your foundation deep, using those times to kind of just tell yourself, I'm going to go away from the shallow, I'm going to go away from the mediocre, and kind of allow myself to go away from just the average, from the just into getting more deeper, more finding more value, finding more meaning in life, finding things that will spur you on, finding things that will keep you refined, keep you on the narrow track, and just kind of not allowing those setbacks to hit you back. I was just thinking, like, even if I just talk about like my own experiences doing what I'm doing right now, let's say on YouTube, I've heard times that I've woken up in the morning and I don't know where that YouTube things like these views are from, I don't know where. And you wake up in the morning and you find that you had 500 views that have been disappeared, and you're thinking like, where did they go to? How did they just get to disappear overnight and things like that? And there have been times that again you're thinking like, is it worth it that you're doing all these investments and things like that, and it doesn't really seem to be encouraging. But then every time you're thinking about, even if it's only one person that will get to see this message, maybe one person that will get to kind of like or view or things like that, it shouldn't really discourage you as a setback, because at the end of the day, as I said, those moments and those seasons are not they're not going to be lasting forever, but they're just going to be seasons for a season and seasons are never meant to last, right? Like in Europe, we have, like in the UK, we have summer, winter, spring, and autumn, right? We don't just have summer throughout. If we had summer throughout, then some of us will never work, because me, summer is time I want to be out, I want to go have fun, I want to sit outside. But then because we have winter, now it's autumn, we're going into winter, I realize that, well, Claire, there's no sun outside, I want to hibernate, but then I'm spending more time being more productive, spending more time doing my slides, doing my teaching and things like that, because those seasons allow me to be in more. And also, of course, those things happen. So when you're having those seasons of setbacks, just look at setbacks as seasons that will not last forever. Look at setbacks as moments that are just there temporary, and something that is temporary, don't confuse it with the permanent, right? The permanent will come when you have those virtues that have developed in you because of those shapings and because of those times that seemed a little bit more difficult, that seemed a little bit more tough, that seemed a little bit more unwanted, that seemed a little bit more painful. Those seasons and those moments don't last forever, but then there should be places and seasons and opportunities that will help you build the character if you need to build character, build endurance if you need to build endurance, build stamina if you need to build stamina, and if you need to recover like me, take time and recover. Take time and just let your body do its thing. And sometimes, when our bodies are fought, diseases and things like that, they actually get more strength to be able to face something more tougher and things like that. So setbacks, so if bringing this to a land, setbacks are not forever. Setbacks will happen because we are human. Life does happen, but don't let those things, when they happen, kind of discourage you, make you feel like, why me? I said, you can also ask, why not me? Because I am tested and tried. I can come out of this purer than gold, more refined, more mature, more experienced. And I was talking to a student, my student was saying to me, there is no school that you go to learn some of these things. You learn them through experience, right? There's no school that you learn how to deal with pain when you're feeling, or how you're feeling unwell, unless you experience pain because you're not feeling well, right? It's through experiences that you learn. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I want to learn from other people's experiences than experiencing it myself. And that's like some of the mistakes that people make, that you can learn from other people's mistakes when they mentor you, when they coach you and things like that. But some of the things, let's face it, we will have to experience them so that we can be able to feel them, to be able to gain some experience that will help us for the future. And so when those things happen, when you're having those setbacks, just look at them as life giving you opportunities to be able to gain experiences, to be able to gain opportunities, that also the way we learn from other people's mistakes, people can also learn from our mistakes, learn from our setbacks, so we can live to testify of the story, to say, hang on a minute, don't see me, I look made up, I look great, but hey, I know what failure means like. I know how it feels like to kind of not be the great, or things like that. I remember, if I just go back, I just remembered this in a minute, because I was actually, well, I'm almost finished with this. I was thinking about, I love talking to my friend Abigail, and she tells a story of how her teacher told her that she could not sing, and she took, like, she will never sing, right? When I was in primary school, I remember one day we were told to make to construct a sentence, and I constructed a sentence, and rather than saying a D in a sentence, I think I ended up with a T or something like that. And obviously everybody burst into laughter because it sounded a bit weird for them. But then when I think back, like, that moment, it could have kind of been a setback moment, and I think, I might never be able to speak English, I might never be able to say some good thing before somebody laughs at me. But then when I learned from that, nowadays if I speak and I say something that doesn't really necessarily sound okay, I don't feel bad about it, because some of the things that we go through, some of the setbacks, some of the sometimes even painful painful moments can actually be opportunities that can help us to be able to get that experience to help us in the future. I've talked openly about, like, last year, the setbacks that I went through, and 7 years ago, the setback I went through with when I had to lose my dad. And I was so much into working on my health. I was in the gym. I had just achieved my weight loss story. I needed to lose this amount of weight. I've achieved that and I'm feeling on top of the world. All of a sudden, dad passes away. I lose the motivation. I feel like I'm no longer bothered. I can't be bothered. I don't want to do that anymore. And in those moments, and the painful moments, and in those moments of a setback, actually, God brought my way a personal trainer that started to train me and do a personal training session for me. I was paying £4 an hour. That telling you that guy was not interested in money from me. He was actually interested in building me up, and God used him in a way to help me to come out of a moment of a setback. So at the end of the day, when I look back to that, I'm like, oh well, it seemed like a setback last year when my mom passed. I'm still going through those moments. And I was talking to Abby the other day saying, like, I feel like I've got those tidal moments, like I have like waves when I'm feeling like so I've missed my mom. I feel like I'm discouraged with something, or I feel I'm going through a difficult time and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if my mom was here. But then at the end of the day, all those seasons and all those moments have actually continued to mold who I am. And it's a story that every time I'm telling myself of the story, that one day I'll be able to talk about it in more details, maybe on this channel, maybe on another person's channel, maybe in a book. I might maybe one day write a book, who knows, and talk about those moments, and talk about the setbacks, and talk about the pain, and talk about the losses, the scars that have come as a result of doing life. It hasn't been just a smooth ride throughout, right? I was thinking about it this morning earlier on, and the saying that smooth sails never make skilled sailors. At the end of the day, you need those tides, you need those like kind of like tides, and those moments that look like setbacks that will make you become more and more experienced, but also become more and more resilient, become more and more able to do most of these things, because we are becoming like a very very delicate society that we don't really want anybody stepping on our toes, so to say. But those setbacks can be those moments of feeling like people are stepping on my toes. And when your toes are stepped on, what will you do? How will you kind of be able to recover? How will you be able to come out of those moments and come out and say, well, it wasn't easy, but thank God I made it. So I just thought today I'll come along with just this encouragement, just something that's been on my heart during the day. And I thought, well, when I reflect on something, I love to do it with my tribe. And so thank you so much. I can see some people online live with me. Thank you so much if you're here tonight, and those that will watch this for days and seasons and moments to come. I hope that you will learn something out of it. If you haven't done so already, why not consider liking this stream, or clicking the sharing button, or subscribing. That will go a long way in supporting what we do. But apart from that, I pray that you will have a great evening, that you will be blessed, and that you will look at those setback moments as opportunities for growth, as opportunities for refreshment, as opportunities for restoration